Yeah, this was basically the experience I got from driving the AMX-40 for this footage. At least it has blow-up panels though. Good morning everybody and welcome back to another War Thunder video, and today as promised we are taking a look at the AMX-40. This is a rank 6 battle rating of 9.7 French top tier main battle tank. Now I should state right from the get-go, this is a 120mm smooth bore gun with a reload of, on my current crew level, 8.3 seconds. Now obviously I haven't had my French crew for very long because the French have not long been added to the game, so my crew levels are actually quite low compared to my Soviet or British or American tanks. Well, American crew I should say, crews. So bear that in mind while I'm going over this video. Right, so I'm sorry it took me so long to get this video out. I've actually been surprisingly busy recently, but yeah, that's a subject for another video. I realised some people didn't actually like me going over my whole life story in the Leopard 2A4 video, which is perfectly fine. I can understand that. Before we continue, however, I will quickly note that I've actually been considering doing a video on why I am currently not grinding the event for the IS-7. Should anybody be interested in knowing more information about that, then I will happily create another video from some of the spare footage I've accumulated over the past few days since my last video. If not, that's fine, but the short story is that I actually can't be bothered. It does go into more in-depth than that, but as I said, if anybody would like to know more, you know, let me know in the comments and I'll do a video on it. It won't be very long, maybe 3 or 4 minutes at the most, but right, let's crack on with the AMX-40. So as far as the way the thing plays is concerned, it's reasonably mobile. Ironically, it's quite fast going backwards. It'll do 27 kilometers per hour in reverse with it in its second reverse gear. It's reasonably mobile going forward. I've seen speeds of around 35 to 40 kilometers an hour on most surfaces. As always, it's worth noting that when I do a first impression video, I have not normally unlocked very many of the modifications. I haven't unlocked the FPE yet, I have just unlocked parts. I think I had it during this game. Then there is another issue with this tank, which we're about to experience firsthand. The heat shell. 600mm of penetration at a flat angle, and surprisingly, it's not that great. I mean, look at this. The gun sight on the Leo 2A4 is one of its main weak spots from the front, and the heat ring just doesn't penetrate it. This is not a bad heat shell, by the way. 600mm of penetration is far from terrible. So for it to not penetrate the 2A4, I was genuinely, I want to say concerned, but let's say interested as to why it, you know, wouldn't penetrate the weak spot. I can't really explain why. I think it should have been able to, personally, but I don't know. It's a bit strange. Now for the armour. As far as I'm aware, this tank does actually have composite armour as well as spaced armour. It doesn't work. Let's just get that out there straight away. The only top tier main battle tanks I would think that can actually take a hit on a regular basis are the Abrams, the 2A4 and the T64 with the ERA plating upgrade. Granted, that's most of them, but the AMX-40 is one of the few that I wouldn't really say can. You can get lucky. It's like the Leopard 2K. That thing has a habit of bouncing shots off the front of its turret because of how obtuse the angles are. They're really, you know, really negative angle or really positive angle, which even with high penetration fin stabilized sabot rounds seems to deter most shots from penetrating the turret. On this thing, though that can happen, I've taken hits in the like upper part of the gun mantlet, which I've survived. I've taken hits in the front of the hull, which I've survived, but that's because they've hit at such a strange angle they've just ricocheted straight off again. The tank is reasonably fast, as we can see here. It is doing 33 kilometers an hour at the moment. As I said, I've seen 40 kilometers an hour, but around 35 is probably realistic for cross-country terrain when you're not on roads and on going uphill or on the flat. I can't really make my mind up about this tank though. It's quite high profile in compared to the AMX-40 models that we have in the game. It's not as fast. It does have the 120mm gun, but the reload rate is 8.3 seconds. There are tanks in the game that have 7-second reloads at this tier, or near enough 7-second reloads, whether that be with an autoloader or not. So I think it's quite interesting that they decided to give the French tank with the same gun as same caliber as some of the other tanks in the tier, you know, that high of a reload. Don't get me wrong, the gun does work in the right situations. I'll be able to comment on that more when I actually do the review for this, the proper review for this thing, and go over the armor and everything. By then, I will aim to have unlocked the 120mm fin stabilized shell for this gun. That's another thing actually. As with the Leopard 2A4, this thing does not get fin stabilized Sabo as standard. You get the heat round, which I've mentioned a fair bit already, and you get HE. HE I don't ever bother carrying, especially if I've got heat as my main round. High explosive anti-tank, as the name suggests, has high explosive filler in the shell anyway, so I don't tend to bother carrying it, even though that's not how heat rounds actually work. They don't penetrate and explode, they fire a superheated jet of liquid metal into the armor, penetrate through chemical means as opposed to kinetic means. But they work perfectly fine for lightly armoured vehicles as well as heavily armoured vehicles, assuming they don't have composite armour or spaced armour. So I generally don't bother carrying HE. So yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Like, share and subscribe for more, and I will see you all in the next War Thunder video. Cheers!